So the first thing that you'll need to do to install the adapter plate, at least for me on my engine, is that there's a bunch of coolant lines back here, and there's these kind of bronze colored metal ones. This one is in the way. Not sure what it goes to or what it went to, but this is here I have the inlet and outlet, and the kit comes with a new thermostat housing, which I'll show you. So this is what it looks like. It has a play for a temperature sensor. On my engine, I have it right there. Maybe on the earlier model, it was connected to the thermostat housing, but I'm going to end up running it like this, so that way it's pointing the radiator hose to the part where it'll go into the radiator if the radiator was right here. But yeah, so I think I'll have to take the air intake manifold off so I can figure out what this goes to and how to remove it. Sorry, my memory card got full. So I was working on it as I was moving photos and videos around so I could have space. But I figured out how to get it to fit. So what I ended up doing is I just took some vice grips and slowly crimped it flat. I'm not going to be using this hose. That I still haven't figured out what the hose is meant for. Doesn't go to the heater core. That's what this one and that one goes to. So I'm just going to loop this one into here. That line ends up splicing into that metal tube in the middle, and pretty sure that it connects the coolant paths on the other side. But once you get that, the adapter plate will mount it on. You'll end up sticking in the provided bolts that go into here, here, and then that one, and that one. And on mine, sadly, I have to drill it out a little bit more. When they machined it, they didn't machine it all the way through. You can kind of see in there the little ledge. But I'll do that, and then I'll bolt it in. Other thing, that if you do it in the order that I am, trace the shape of this on the piece of cardboard, because you'll need to use it as a template to find out where to cut a section for the starter, that the starter motor faces underneath the pan or the engine and then goes into the transmission slightly. So I'll drill up those holes so the bolts fit and trace the adapter plate, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I got those bolts in, that they're a 10mm Allen key, and I used some blue Loctite on the threads and then torqued them down to what Honda recommends of 47 foot-pounds. So you got the two there and then the two on top. Then for this side, that they provide the two longer studs or bolts, and they go through the back, going through right here and right down there. Now they don't provide washers, but I feel a lot more comfortable having washers there. So for this bottom one, that the space on the back's big enough for the full washer that I have to fit there. And then for the top one, I end up grounding a spot on it, so that way it can fit into where that little notch is. You probably don't need to do that with the washers, but it makes me feel better. And then I'm also going to use blue Loctite on that and torque that down to 47 foot-pounds. Once I get to that, I'll end up taking these off, so I won't show you me taking these all off. Those are just a 17 millimeter 12-point socket, and then you'll end up using this spacer, which takes in consideration the different transmission and the flywheel. I will explain the flywheel and what you need to do for that and the clutch after I finish torquing those two bolts down. Okay, so I'm going to explain what you have to do to the flywheel and what flywheel, what clutch, and what pressure plate you need to have. That if you buy this kit from Minitech, they get it all for you and they modify the flywheel. For the flywheel, this is from a Honda B series, so you can find that on a 2000 Honda Civic Si. And so what you have to do, if you buy one and do this yourself, because the starter goes on the opposite direction than it is on like the Honda B series, you have to heat up an oven to, let's see what the directions say. It's like 300 degrees. Sorry, looking through my directions. Okay, so my bad. 450 degrees. And you put the flywheel in there for 30 minutes, and then you're able to separate this ring from there, and then you flip it around. And I guess you're supposed to line it up also. But I don't. But anyway, to me it sounds a lot easier to buy that from Minitech than it is to try and press that on and heat it up and not burn yourself. Then for the clutch, so the clutch is for a 1.8 liter Miata, so this fits up to the transmission. And then the pressure plate, that is also from, I think, the same Honda B series. Now, I'm not sure what brand this pressure plate is, but the clutch is Exedy, and it looks like it's pretty good material. Exedy usually makes pretty good clutches, so it should be able to handle the horsepower that the 3.2 liter J series puts out. So I'll go. Oh, today I'm just going to finish off by bolting on and torquing down the flywheel. That I don't have my alignment tool. That the kit does not come with one. Luckily, I did a clutch on my Miata when it was turbocharged. So hopefully I still have the alignment dowel. Oh, I forgot to mention. So with these studs, that the shank of it, the smooth part, you want to put anti-seize on, and then you want to use the blue thread locker on the threads. And the directions say torque it down to, I'm going to look that up, but it's like 60 something. So I just printed these direct instructions off of their website, and they have pictures that help, but you still have to make an educated guess. Okay, so here's what those instructions look like. So you'll torque them down in that sequence to 65 foot-pounds, and then you start over with 1, and then you go to 72 foot-pounds. And just remember, anti-seize on the shank and then the blue Loctite. You have the anti-seize so that way the steel stud doesn't react with the aluminum, that you can have them corrode and weld themselves together somewhat, and it'll be really hard to take it out if you ever want to remove them. So I got them all torqued on. Don't pay attention to the numbers because I was silly and I numbered them, and then I stuck them in, but then the numbers weren't in order like in the picture. But I still did the correct star pattern. So those are all torqued on, and I'll let you take a look at it from all the different sides. The engine mounts get bolted onto here. And I can't remember if I showed, but that's what it looks like. At those side ones, get the O2 sensor out of the way. And I'm just going to leave the air intake manifold off because when I stick it in I'll have to have it off anyway. And then I'll have to figure out what design I want to do when I modify it, so that way the throttle body faces towards the front of the engine instead of against the firewall. Well, that's all I'm going to do today. Thanks for joining me. That next time, hoping to bolt the transmission to this engine, and then I'll make another video after that of installing it into the car. Thanks for following me, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.